Imagine a world in the late Middle Ages, a time of turmoil, conflict, and change. This is the world Joan of Arc was born into. The 15th century was a defining period for France, a nation embroiled in the 100 Years' War, a bitter, long-standing dispute with England. The people were weary, their spirits dampened by the seemingly endless struggle. Yet, amidst this chaos, the flames of national identity were being kindled, fueled by a fervent desire for sovereignty. Simultaneously, the social fabric of the time was deeply entwined with religion and superstition. The church was the cornerstone of society, its influence pervading every aspect of life, from politics to personal beliefs. Miracles, prophecies, and divine intervention were widely accepted truths, shaping the worldview of the populace. In this world of uncertainty and upheaval, a young peasant girl named Joan was born. Joan, born in 1412, was a simple peasant girl from Domremy, a small village in northeastern France. Her parents, Jacques d'Arc and Isabelle Romay, were hardworking farmers, instilling in Joan a strong work ethic from an early age. She was a devout Catholic, her faith profoundly influencing her life and shaping her destiny. As a child, Joan spent much of her time in the fields, tending to the animals. But her life wasn't all about work. She often found herself drawn to the church, where she would pray fervently. And it was during one of these prayer sessions that she began experiencing her first visions. Joan claimed to hear voices she believed were from Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. These were not just fleeting experiences, but recurring encounters that she took as divine messages. These divine voices set Joan on a path that would change the course of French history. At just 17, Joan set out on an extraordinary mission, guided by her visions and voices. A teenage girl in the 15th century, Joan embarked on a daring journey that would carve her name into the annals of history. Joan's journey took her to Chinon, where she was to meet the Dauphin, Charles VII. This was no ordinary rendezvous. Joan had to convince Charles, a man of considerable power and skepticism, of her divine mandate. She succeeded, impressing Charles with her fervor and conviction, and was given a suit of white armor and a horse. With the backing of Charles VII, Joan moved to accomplish the next phase of her mission, the lifting of the Siege of Orléans. The city had been under English control for months, and the French were losing hope. But Joan, with her unwavering faith and indomitable spirit, rallied the French troops. Against all odds, after just 9 days of her arrival, the siege was lifted. The English were driven out, and hope was restored among the French. The lifting of the Siege of Orléans was a crucial turning point in the 100 Years' War. Joan's involvement not only boosted the morale of the French troops, but also gave them a beacon of hope to rally around. She was the spark that ignited the French resistance against the English. After Orléans, Joan led the French army in several more successful battles. She was instrumental in paving the way for Charles VII's coronation in Reims, a significant event that further strengthened the French position in the war. Joan's actions during this period were not just acts of bravery. They were instrumental in shifting the balance of power in the 100 Years' War. Her courage, faith, and determination were a beacon of hope for the French and a formidable force against the English. Joan's victories boosted French morale and turned the tide of the war. Her extraordinary mission at such a young age, guided by her visions and voices, forever marked her as one of history's most revered figures. However, Joan's remarkable journey was fraught with danger and controversy. In the throes of war, she was captured by the Burgundians, a group allied with the English, in May of 1429. Joan, the beacon of French hope, was now in enemy hands, and her fate was sealed. The Burgundians, eager to discredit Joan and demoralize the French, sold her to the highest bidder, the English. The English, in turn, handed her over to the ecclesiastical court at Rouen, where she was put on trial for heresy. The court was heavily biased, filled with pro-English clergy who were all too eager to see Joan condemned. The trial was a farce from the start. Joan, a young peasant girl, was pitted against a panel of educated and experienced theologians. They twisted her words, took her statements out of context, and used every trick in the book to paint her as a heretic. Joan, despite her lack of formal education, defended herself with surprising wit and courage. But the deck was stacked against her. One of the primary charges against Joan was that she dressed in men's clothing. This was a practical measure on the battlefield, but it was seen as a violation of the church's rules. Joan argued that her clothing was part of her divine mission, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. The trial lasted for months, but the outcome was predetermined. The court declared Joan a relapsed heretic and handed down the harshest punishment possible: death by burning at the stake. Joan, only 19 years old, was to be executed. On the morning of May 30th, 1431, Joan was led to the old marketplace in Rouen. She was tied to a tall pillar, the pyre beneath her was set ablaze, and she was left to die a painful and horrifying death. In 1431, Joan was burned at the stake, a martyr in the eyes of many. Though Joan's life was tragically cut short, her legacy extended far beyond her years. Joan's tale did not end with her untimely demise. In fact, it took a dramatic turn 25 years later during her posthumous retrial. The Catholic Church, recognizing the grave injustice done to her, declared Joan innocent of all charges, thereby vindicating her name. But the Church's recognition of Joan's virtue didn't stop there. In 1920, nearly 5 centuries after her death, Joan was canonized as a saint. Saint Joan of Arc's story resonates deeply with the French national identity. She was, after all, a humble shepherdess who rose to lead an army, a peasant girl who changed the course of history. Her unwavering faith, her courage in the face of adversity, and her commitment to her country have made her an enduring symbol of French patriotism and resilience. But Joan's legacy extends beyond France's borders. Her story has captured the imagination of people all over the world, inspiring countless interpretations and representations in art, literature, and popular culture. From Mark Twain's historical novel to George Bernard Shaw's play, from Carl Theodor Dreyer's silent film to Leonard Cohen's song Joan of Arc, has been immortalized again and again in every conceivable medium. Each interpretation offers a different perspective, a unique insight into this complex figure, and yet they all share a common thread: admiration for her courage, her faith, and her unwavering commitment to her cause. Joan's life was brief, but her influence is immeasurable. Her story continues to inspire, to captivate, to resonate. It is a testament to the power of faith, the strength of conviction, and the indomitable spirit of one young woman against the might of an empire. Joan of Arc, the peasant girl who changed the course of history, remains a beacon of bravery, faith, and resilience, inspiring generations long after her time.